slide presentation, Next Generation Agriculture. Here I'm focusing on a quote from President Richard Linton, who is speaking about the transformation that's taking place with new buildings, renovations, and so forth on campus, which is going to be the subject of many of the slides I share with you today, because within the college, it's the first time since about 1988 to 1990 that we've had new construction on main campus, and of course part of that also is North Campus as well. But really, the way the President has helped us think about this is a new opportunity as a next-gen land-grant university to look at not only the old way of disciplinary, more siloed kind of teaching and research and outreach, but to look at new facilities as a way to foster collaboration across disciplines with on campus, but more importantly, also invite public-private partnerships that allow our faculty to work shoulder to shoulder with folks in the industry to help us deliver on those programs that are so vitally important to us. And in doing so, helping us be more effective at training the next generation of students. So focusing on what we've been calling, and I've reported to this committee over the past couple of years, the Ag Innovation Initiative. As the bar on the right side of that slide depicts, this in total is a $210 million effort that involves, and as I'll demonstrate on the next slide, a combination of new construction, the renovation of some existing structures on campus, and importantly, the demolition of others that have been very significant in terms of helping us deliver our mission, but frankly have extended themselves to the end of their usable life, and so are coming down. One of the points that I'd like to make is that we've been very, very successful in terms of leveraging appropriations that we received from the state in total, $75 million against this $210 million total. We're at about 190 right now, close to. So we're right at 90% funded, and the vast majority of that are funds that we've been able to leverage in terms of private philanthropy to help us fill that gap. So we're very, very appreciative of the legislative appropriations that have helped us get there. It's been a kickstart to our ability to fundraise. So these are the Ag Innovation Initiative individual projects that I'll talk about a little bit, and the bar on the right indicates some significant events that occurred during 2024. One of the flagship projects within the Ag Innovation Initiative is the Global Center for Grain and Food Innovation. That's actually depicted on the lower right, and you can see that's a very active construction site. We had the groundbreaking for that particular building this past May of 2024. And then in October of 2024, we had an event called a beam signing that was part of the Bilbrey Family Event Center, the picture of which is immediately above the Global Center in the top right. Coming up this fall, these are estimated dates. The first building to be completed, we anticipate to be the Bilbrey Family Event Center. We hope actually to be teaching classes at least in that particular facility this coming fall semester. We expect in terms of projected openings for fall semester 2026, the Global Center for Grain and Food Innovation and the Agronomy Research and Innovation Center, maybe a little earlier in 2026 as well. So the point is that, that these funds that have been entrusted by the state to us, in some cases had a use-by date of 2026, and we're going to be able to make that deadline and be in those buildings, have students in those buildings in the not-too-distant future. We've been telling prospective students and their families that if they come to campus, and actually we said this last year as well, they can expect their students to experience the completed buildings before they receive their degrees from K-State. Next, I'd like to focus in the next few slides on some things that relate directly more to the academic side of the house. And one of the things I want to visit about, because it actually is important relative to that Global Center for Grain and Food Innovation that I mentioned in the previous slide. So that building, the Global Center, is really a replacement. Now, it's more than that, but it is, in fact, a replacement for Schellenberger Hall. So Schellenberger Hall has been home since the late 1950s to our unique Department of Grain Sciences and Industry. And so this is the only program in the world that delivers bachelor's and graduate degrees in milling science and management, bakery science and management, and now feed and pet food science and management as well. So they will be among the primary occupants of that new Global Center for Grain and Food Innovation. We were very, very fortunate to hire, as noted here in this slide, a world-renowned scientist in the global grain and grain as foods area. Dr. Joseph Owika actually came to us from Texas A&M University, a great reputation in research, developed technologies really maximizing the ability of food products and focusing on food products, particularly those from grain or plant-based foods that help protect humans against chronic disease as they impact the microbiome and other factors affecting human health. So we're very, very excited about Dr. Owika's arrival, the priorities that he's placed in terms of faculty hiring, and the opportunities to interact across disciplines, not only on our campus, but potentially also with our partners down at the University of Kansas in terms of focusing on the health benefits of food. So here's some numbers that just place out there for you to highlight. I'm just going to talk about a couple. We're very, very pleased, 2.3 million over that amount actually, in terms of college-sponsored scholarships for our students majoring in various agriculture degree programs. Immediately underneath that, that particular figure, an excellent placement rate for our graduates. 97% of them by the time of graduation have either found employment or they have elected to continue with veterinary school or graduate school following their graduation. So excellent numbers there. Very, very favorable student-to-faculty ratio in the college. And again, this year and for several years running, I think, in fact, the entire time I've been dean, we've been in the top 10 or close to. We may have slipped to 11 one year, rated by niche.com among all universities in the land-grant colleges of agriculture in the United States. So we're very, very pleased with how third parties view our program as well. Lots of opportunities for student employment on campus. We're very, very prominent in terms of our research footprint. $110 million in research expenditures across the college and K-State Research and Extension, which is just slightly over half of the entire university's programs, and over 50 clubs and opportunities with competition teams, which, by the way, we had a banner year in 2024 with success in animal science, livestock judging, meat judging, crops, and our forage bowl team as well, to name a few. We also, in conjunction with our new strategic plan for the university, are looking at unique opportunities to attract more students and provide them with degree programs that we think will round out our current offering as well. One that is in the works is called a Bachelor of Applied Science, a general agriculture degree, the first Bachelors of Applied Science at K-State. So we're very excited about being able to offer this opportunity to students who have a generalized interest in agriculture that will allow them to move into industries of all types related to the food and ag industry. And you may have seen in December, our president, Rich Linton, participating in a signing ceremony with Garden City Community College president to begin a partnership with Garden City Community College to allow students who have completed their degree there to remain in place to potentially finish the final 2 years at Garden City to deliver first a selected maybe few programs, get our feet under our ground, under ourselves, and possibly offer additional programming going forward. So those first few degrees we expect probably will be in animal science, maybe crop science, and then we hope to expand that going forward. So we're very, very excited about that opportunity. This area of the state, a rapidly expanding population with maybe only 17 or 18% of the total population, currently with four-year degree programs. Garden City is an island in a way in terms of the distance that students have to drive to receive four-year degrees on site. So we think we're filling a nice niche there. The community of Garden City and Finney County are very excited about that opportunity as well. Focus on some highlighted items in terms of excellence in research. Perhaps many of you are aware that we've had to, a couple of years ago, to shutter our old on-campus beef feeding facility, the Beef Cattle Research Center. It, again, is one of those units that simply lived out its useful life. The beef feeding industry is so tremendously important to agriculture and the economy in Kansas. We really need, as a flagship land-grant university in the state of Kansas, to have beef feeding as part of our research and teaching portfolio. So we're working on that currently. The proposed facility will be on the location where the current old one exists, and that funding will be entirely private and philanthropic. And at this point, we're roughly $10 million, slightly over actually, towards a $16 million goal. This will be a 1,200 one-time capacity feed yard, which is about 300 head of cattle under our KDHE limit previously. So we're very pleased about that. But it's going to be so important in terms of preparing students for careers in the feedlot industry. And we hope that we can finish out that fundraising and get on with construction perhaps in 2026. I want to focus on a program that, again, is one that we're extremely excited about that is called Testing Ag Performance Solutions. This is really a very unique extension program that really sits in the interface between applied research and practical application of extension, so Testing Ag Performance Solutions. And really what we're focused on there is an opportunity to really tackle and look strategically at our challenge for water in western Kansas. And so we were successful in hiring Dr. Brad Rudnick from the University of Nebraska a couple of years ago. Darren Rudnick, I'm sorry. We had our first TAPS, it's called, competition this past growing season, located out of Colby, Kansas. In this TAPS program, groups of farmers and scientists, agribusiness personnel. The teams can be of a wide variety of different backgrounds, come together in a competition to select their hybrid, select their water use, select their marketing opportunities and so forth in order to beat the other teams. And the idea being one of the things that we hope to look at is how profitable they are, but compared with the input costs. And one of the things that I'd point out in this slide, this statistic Q stable, is a target. And that target varies by location, but in Colby, for example, they were the Q stable, and this is the amount of irrigation water that can be used and not deplete the aquifer further. So in this particular case, it was about 8 inches. And so that was a target of some of the teams. And so just probably 2 weeks ago, maybe 3, Dodge City, we celebrated and the award winners for that particular program were revealed. Again, a tremendous amount of excitement in the room. We had some folks from the legislature that were there as well, but also producers, of course, from the western part of the state. And we're really very, very excited about how the technical applications that are employed by these teams will work their way into standard production practices. I'm going to begin to wind up here by just kind of summarizing a few numbers for us. I mentioned our research expenditures. What's represented in this particular graph is our success in research awards. We take, and I want to emphasize this, the funds that we're given from the state to hire people, to hire very, very capable scientists who then go out and compete nationally for both federal funds and other kinds of funds to support research. And with the exception, there are 5 years listed there in that particular graphic of a post-COVID dip in 2021, we've essentially had year-over-year record success in terms of fundraising up to the most recent year that's been summarized is 2024. So this is an example of the stewardship that state funds that we use to allow our faculty to go out and compete for research funding. This is, again, a different statistic, research expenditures. These are expenditures not only from grants, but from external grants, but from state funding, funds actually from all sources that can be accounted for and are logged in as research expenditures. And the point I'd simply like to make there is the green bar compared with the purple bar being the research expenditures of Kansas State University writ large, and our footprint, which is essentially half of the research activity across the entire campus. So we have a very large footprint, but again, as the land-grant university, we should have a large footprint and always looking to help the university grow that grand total by growing our own total year over year. These pie charts are ones that we put in our booklet every year. The green slice of those pies represent the state appropriations that we get. And so as we talk about what we're seeing there, agricultural experimentation is a term that refers to generally our research portfolio. Cooperative extension speaks for itself. That's our extension work. And then the third one on the bottom line, College of Agriculture, is of course our academic or teaching function as well. So these are of course the classic three mission areas of a land-grant university. I'd point out in particular the purple slices of those pies are external funds that essentially our state and federal appropriations allow us to leverage into the state from various funding agencies, from USDA, from the National Science Foundation, from the National Institutes of Health, and from the U.S. Agency for International Development. So we're very pleased with how we use those appropriated funds to leverage and improve our success and our stature as a land-grant university in the nation's 6th largest agricultural state nationally. So with that, I'll wrap up, but Senator, I'd be happy to answer questions from the committee.
There are several questions. Dr. Minton, appreciate your presentation. Senator Reichman.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and thank you very much. Forgot what your name was.
Minton. It's like the president, but with an M.
Well, your mustache just threw me off.
Well, thank you very much. As I say often, you grow hair where you can grow it. So.
Got my question. Oh. The slide where you talked about partnership with Garden City Community College. Southwest Kansas is the only part of the state that doesn't have a 4-year and university or anything. And I want you to know that that's getting a lot of talk, and we sure appreciate you guys going down there, and because we sure need a lot more people in 4-year degrees in all areas. Doesn't matter if it's doctors, nursing, and whatever. The other question I have, it just surprised me in a couple of slides above that, you had degrees granted, 648. That seems like a lot of degrees. Is that normal for 4-year universities? How is that compared to other ones? And anyway, thank you for coming.
Well, I'll have to get back to you with that comparison. This would be all of the bachelor degree and graduate degree awardees out of the college. So, yeah, thank you.
Senator Bowser.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Dr. Minton, for your presentation today. Really appreciated it. I was visiting a couple of my constituents a few months ago in Seneca, Kansas, the Heinen brothers, and these guys are crop dusters by trade, but they're also at the forefront of drone technology. Mm-hmm. And when I first heard that, I was thinking of my little home drone with 4 little propellers on it. But these guys have, it looks like a full-size aircraft, and what they can do from their headquarters in Seneca is they can punch in, say, a crop coordinates and maybe the boundaries of that field. They can push a button, that plane takes off, and it may travel 30 miles and then spray that crop and then return home. Can you tell me, talk a little bit about, your presentation, you mentioned innovation initiatives, and can you tell us a little bit about technology, how you see that in the future impacting agriculture, and what maybe K-State's doing to prepare their students for that? Thank you very much.
Yes, absolutely. It's a really important question, and we are actively involved in that very thing. So one of the projects, and I've flipped back to this slide on the Ag Innovation Initiative, top left, immediately north of Bill Snyder Family Stadium, we have a new agronomy research and innovation center. So within both the Research and Innovation Center and then connected to the North Farm, which again is immediately adjacent to campus, we'll be focusing on digital technologies like drone technology, but also wireless sensors and other kinds of things that fall into this broad precision agriculture realm. It's going to touch really the situation you described in terms of probably applying herbicide, I would imagine, but also on the ground precision planting, delivery of precision delivery of nitrogen fertilizer, for example, autonomous tractors, all kinds of things which are agriculture but also broaden across our College of Engineering as well. So yes, we think the future is very, very bright there. In order for our faculty to attract and train students that are prepared to go to work for the John Deeres of the world or whatever it might be, we've got to have faculty that understand where that cutting edge is in terms of digital technology. So long answer, our focus absolutely is on, and we have actually a center called Digital Agriculture and Advanced Analytics, which embodies a lot of those different kinds of things. It's data science. It's, I mean, everybody says this, but it's true, artificial intelligence, and those kinds of things that will really be important to agriculture going forward. I think also it's going to be one of the keys to us helping solve our water problem in the West.
Senator Fagg.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and Director Minton, thank you very much for your presentation. I'd like to start out, the buildings that need demolished, that's a big issue in Kansas.
Yeah.
What is the current status at Kansas State? How many more do we need to demolish? How many did we do in the last year? Just trying to get an update on that.
Well, obviously I'm most familiar with the ones in the college. We have a tremendous backlog of deferred maintenance. So the one that will be coming, part of what happened this past year was that Weber Arena came down, and that's actually depicted in the lower left of the slide I have up. But the other parts of the Ag Innovation Initiative, which involve demolition, will be that Schellenberger Hall, which I referred to previously, will be coming down in maybe 2027. There's also a building adjacent to it that connects it with Waters Hall, Feed Technology Hall, that needs to come down as well. In those cases, we had an engineering study done to make sure there wasn't a more economical way to renovate, and there wasn't. But here's the point, I think. We were involved and actually provided data from the K-State campus to a national study, and this is about 5 years old now, to look at the total deferred maintenance across all land-grant universities in the United States. And what we found is that all of our land grants, not just K-State, University of Missouri, Nebraska, Iowa State, Michigan State, on and on, have a number of buildings that were built in the 1950s and 60s, and obviously the central mechanical, even the central mechanical parts of those buildings have run their useful lifespan. The thing that's frightening about that is this is the innovation for our nation's food system. And so it's a significant problem, but it does involve the guts and wherewithal to retire some of these buildings out. And we're pleased at least that we've got that as part of our plan. There has been some additional demolition on the K-State campus. Edwards Hall has come down recently. Ahern would be another example of a building structure that's come down. So our campus planning folks are working through it.
How do you measure the cost effectiveness of the 110 million in research? You know, when you throw a lot of money into research, how do you measure that to say,
Yeah.
how are we getting our bang for the buck?
That's an important question. And so 2018 or 19, we, the College of Agriculture and K-State Research and Extension, wanted to get an estimate of that number, and so we hired an external firm which does this regularly for not just universities but other entities as well. Techonomy, and would be certainly be happy to share that study. It's pretty extensive, pretty word dense, but in that study, we have a 17-to-1 economic multiplier, which is an estimate across not just the College of Agriculture, but K-State Research and Extension. So it's a little larger data set than just research, but what we're trying to get at for every dollar that we spent either to educate a student or to initiate a research project or an extension program like TAPS, what could we expect writ large? And so they used the implant approach, which is standard in the industry, and that's the number that we talk about.
Last summer, I was at the university to a water conference they had up there, and a lady that was sitting next to me was a senior and getting ready to graduate. And I said, where are you from? And she said, well, Northwest Missouri. And I said, well, what brought you to Kansas State University? And she said, scholarship. And I said, well, what are you going to do afterwards? She said, Mike, I got a job in Michigan. So I'm sitting here saying, as a taxpayer, when we look at that 97% placement rate, how much of that's in-state, out-of-state? Is it our job to educate people for the country? So that's just wonder if you comment on that or.
Yeah, I'd be happy to. So we have pretty good numbers that suggest a little over 60% of our students remain in the state. We have now, in terms of out-of-state students, attract about 40% college-wide, which is about 10% higher than the university as a whole, which is at about 30%. These are round numbers. In some departments, like our Department of Animal Sciences and Industry, it's over 50% out-of-state students. Now, this is, I think, what this reflects. It reflects some of what I think this young student was telling you, that they're going to shop around for a school that not only provides programming excellence, but doesn't leave them with a tremendous debt coming out of school. So that's one factor. Secondly, the demographics are pretty clear that we're headed for an enrollment cliff, and that all of us, and when I say all of us, and I say Kansas State University, I mean one of our hottest competitors is Oklahoma State, for example, but Iowa State would be another one, University of Missouri. We're all going to be clamoring for not only every student that we can get from our state, and frankly, our population base always works against us there, but who can we attract from the Big Ten or the SEC or wherever the case might be? So we're continually putting together scholarshiping opportunities for those students which are non-state funds to attract those students here. So one way to look at it is they come in from Missouri, they spend their tuition dollars here in the state of Kansas, and at the very least, we have a 60% plus chance of keeping them here in Kansas, at least for the first many years. But we've at least gotten that much out of their career, and we've sent a very employable student back to wherever their first job took them.
Next question. There's a thing called WARDA, which is Water Research Development Act of 2024. The thing, it's like 624 pages, just passed here in the last 30 days. The thing that caught my eye was there's $10.7 billion in water research that come out of that. And there was, if I read that right, there's like 3 universities that got money out of that. North Carolina was one of them that I remember. So the only thing that Kansas got out of that was $30 million going to Manhattan. I don't know if you know anything about that. And the other one was $30 million going to Wyandotte. And I'm sitting there saying, did we ever apply for any of this kind of money towards our sedimentation problem with our reservoirs? Just if we're doing research, I would think we'd have somebody be out chasing those kind of dollars out there. I was shocked how much Oklahoma got and some of the things around here, so wonder if you know anything about that.
Yeah, so the details of that particular, that's legislation you're referring to, federal legislation. That was recently passed. That is amazing. But at any rate, I'll just say this. The group that we have assembled at Kansas State University, I think, is second to none. The head of the Kansas Water Institute, Dr. Susan Metzger, who many of you know and are familiar with, is just so effective at networking. And I mentioned Dr. Darren Rudnick, Dr. Jonathan Aguilar in Garden City. They are masters at leveraging appropriated funds and getting grants externally. So I wouldn't be surprised if we have a slice of that pie. We'll have to get you some details about exactly where we're, how we play in those particular numbers that you cite. But again, they're focused, again, principally, of course, on helping to slow the depletion and maybe even turn around in some cases the demands on the aquifer, but also on the problem with sedimentation in our reservoirs and water quality and other kinds of things. And actually, I'm sure Susan would be happy just to come and communicate with this committee on water if you all are interested in that.
Senator Titus.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. Director Minton, you hinted on this a little bit in some of your answers here, but as we think about the ag workforce, in some ways the workforce is growing, and so I guess you'd call it non-traditional farm ways, but it's growing in manufacturing and things like that. Your student base traditionally is shrinking as there are less people coming from the farms and small towns, but we constantly hear there's even less people that have a connection to agriculture, period. So where does the workforce for the whole ag industry come from in the future? And your student body's a piece of that, but where does this ag connection come from? Because doesn't seem natural anymore.
Well, I agree with you. And the first thing I'd say is it's a, very, very difficult problem to tackle, but one that will be faced. That workforce is going to continue to be a challenge. So anecdotally, as we fundraise for this Ag Innovation Initiative, and we would go out to, the General Mills of the world and other companies that that we sought to help support. I mean, the number one thing they say is, I mean, of course, we love research and innovation, but we need people. So that's going to be one of our ongoing challenges. Now, I think what we're recognizing, and it's, any answer that I'd give would be maybe a slice of the solution going forward. But we are working on and thinking through an opportunity which may allow us, where we have very, very unique strengths, to think about even two-year options with a lot of general ag and trade and trade training and that kind of thing. That would be the case in terms of individuals who have the capacity and the training to run feed mills, for example. That demand many, many years ago was almost always rural. But what we acknowledge is at K-State we offer a very technical four-year degree in feed science and technology, but not every student wants to go back and manage. They want to work in, perhaps, some of those settings. And so we're generally a four-year degree a granting institution, and without any kind of specificity, I would just say we are thinking through and looking at opportunities for maybe micro-credentialing students, providing them stackable kinds of credentials that will allow them to stay in their community and go back and do these kinds of things. I mean, there are many. Southwest Kansas is a good example of a number of students who would like training, maybe the opportunities for associates, perhaps in some cases bachelor's degree, but mainly they want to stay close to their home community. Again, I haven't provided the solution.
Thank you.
Yep.
Are there any other questions? Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair, and certainly and for being here. You were brave enough to mention USAID.
We've been nervous.
And can you just describe some of the ways that K-State is participating in those programs, are benefiting from those dollars?
So going back over the last decade, roughly, we were the only university in the country that housed 4 USAID Feed the Future Innovation Labs at K-State. We're down to 2 now. Those other 2 they ran their 5-year cycle with the possibility of a renewal. And so now we've got 2 that are relatively new. These all build on technical and scientific expertise that resides at K-State. And so we've got a lot of investments in networking, in scientists in country that collaborate with us. And that's ongoing. And so our USAID funding is among some of the largest grants that we have on the campus. There are a number of sort of ancillary benefits that come back to Kansas, one of which that I'd cite is very early on in the Sorghum and Millet Innovation Lab, when sugarcane aphid was a problem in the sorghum crop, because of our connection back to Africa, the home of the sorghum plant, we were able to acquire some germplasm that allowed us to insert resistance into our K-State varieties. So that happens occasionally. We have an opportunity to influence food policy locally. with the potential, we work with a lot of smallholder farmers, but with the potential of generating additional customers for U.S. agriculture, but for also being at the table in terms of agriculture policy in areas which are sometimes vulnerable to being places for unrest and radicalization and those kinds of things. So there's an old tune by Bob Marley, "Hungry man is an angry man," and that's the kind of thing that allows us to participate in helping maintain a peaceful environment in those areas as well. So there are a number of benefits to us being involved in that, including student and faculty exchanges that happen regularly.
One more question, and, we do a great job here in Kansas growing a raw product. But what I don't see a lot of is taking that raw product, processing it, and then selling the finished product. So I know you mentioned milling. We do a little milling here, but cotton, for instance, we process it and send it out of state, a lot of times out of the nation, and then we buy that back at retail cost. So how do we break that cycle and go to the second phase?
Yes, that's a very important point, and this part of this Ag Innovation Initiative that I spoke of, the Global Center for Grain and Food Innovation, is really focused on exactly that. So what you've recapped is a lot of what I think many decades in the college, going back probably to the 50s and even earlier, is maximizing the production of commodities, but not focusing on the next value-added steps. And so we're in the college chipping away at that. One of the there are a number of examples that have happened recently. One would be we have opened a new degree program, actually expanded the feed science degree program so that now it's called feed and pet food science. And so Hills, for example, has expanded their plant, beautiful plant in Tonganoxie, and this is a value, companion animal food is a value add that benefits both the livestock and grain industries as well, because they all fall from processing plants on the animal side, and the byproducts from grain combine usually to make companion animal products. Then this past August, I was in Goodland for the ribbon cutting for the Schooler canola crush plant there. So this is an example of well, actually a great opportunity for expanding canola acres in the western part of the state, and then crushing them to capture some of that value in oil here in Kansas with additional jobs out in that particular plant. So we have our eye out on the horizon for more and more opportunities, because the more, as you pointed out, the more value add we keep here, as opposed to milling and baking and other kinds of value added activities occurring outside of the state. Let's keep those here in Kansas. So we have to collaborate with local communities in terms of rail, in terms of maybe tax benefits and those kinds of things. But we're very interested in that.
Thank you. For seeing no other questions, we do appreciate you being here today.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you very much.
It's great.
This meeting is adjourned.